It's actually pretty tricky for Sona players sometimes. But he did actually have, or he or her, I'm not sure, had a lot of really good ones landed in critical team fights following up the Amumu ults, which are really critical, which we don't have Amumu anymore, so it's going to be more critical for Sona to actually land really, really good ults in these team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw a lot of what is pretty standard for these mid-tier elo players. Sona definitely has some pretty good positioning, some pretty good support of Graves, but she frequently was not using Sona to her full advantage. She does proc her passive slow off of every 3. So using that slow to effectively keep people off of Graves, keep him alive in the early game, keep him in the creep wave, getting those last hits, getting the harass off is going to be playing a larger role here, especially with the very, very aggressive bottom lane plus Lee Sin pick for jungle.
So we're just winding down here. We're going to hit the 3-minute mark. So if you were gonna play for one of these teams, what kind of which team would you want to be on?
I would definitely want to be on blue team at this point. I've seen way too many exemplary Gragas plays mid in my day to ignore the fact that he is a very strong pick if you can play him effectively. Those barrels have a lot of zoning potential. Oh, not unlike Oriana's ball, if you can use them effectively to push the other AP mid off of the creep wave, then you can pick up the CS and keep them at arm's length while you pretty much control mid lane.
Yeah, one thing I'm also going to be looking for, especially on Wormhole's play in this mid lane, is can he use Gragas is very good at using that body slam to actually get around the map really quickly, jump over walls, and get some ganks on different lanes. So I'm interested to see if he gets out of lane a lot more than he did when he was playing his Lulu, and see if he'll actually be able to affect the other lanes, because it could be a good recipe for them to actually focus on Citadel in that bottom lane and possibly make some plays and get in there and wreck his day, because I know he was a very, very strong component in the last game.
Yeah, you'll notice that blue team also has an incredible, very, very mobile team. They have Gragas, who's able to kind of throw himself through very short walls. You have Lee Sin, of course, who can hop to wards, as has his second flash. Shen has his dash. I mean, there's so much mobility in blue team as an overall team comp that their ability to go from mid lane to a bottom lane 4-man gank even would be really interesting to see if they manage to pull something like that off.
Yeah, at the same time, Purple Team, what they're going to really want to do is they're going to want to do well in the laning phase, and then they're going to want to actually get their hands on this really highly mobile team. And if they can get, a grip on them, land all their AoE damage, and come in there, with their fed Graves and such, if all things go right, it could be a really good recipe for them to take on this enemy team. Where the blue team, they have a lot of, Gragas can actually throw his explosive casket and reset the fight if he really wants to. So I'm interested to see how these teams clash in the team fights, and where they really take advantage of their strengths and weaknesses. I know both Lee Sin and Mundo actually can be pretty quick through the jungle and do some counter jungling stuff. So I'm interested to see also the invade. The invade from blue team, we could see it, especially with a blitz on the board.
Yeah, you also have the dynamic between Shen and Nasus, where Shen has his teleport, he has his ult, and if he's forced to leave top lane, that means that Nasus is free to farm. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of decisions Shen ends up having to make, if he's going to go in and save people or if he's going to keep Nasus from taking complete control of top lane.
Yeah, it's really one of those things where it's like you really want to make sure that if you do make a move on another lane, that you're snowballing that lane, because, like you said, by leaving the top lane, and kind of what happened last time, and Renekton, instead of Renekton leaving, he just took down that turret early, and then they kind of forgot about him, and that's something you can't do with Nasus. And it's kind of a hard thing for a lot of players, especially I don't want to say necessarily at this level, but just a lot of players in general. It's kind of easy to you have this advantage in top lane, and instead of just keeping your top up there and keep pressuring it, you want to get involved in the other places of the map, but then you leave that top up there, especially specific tops like, like a Nasus, like a Poppy even. Poppy has a hard time farming early, But if you take that early advantage and then you kind of forget about her and you let her get farmed up, she's still going to be able to then get farmed up, come in, kill your carries, remove them from team fights, and be a complete menace. So you definitely want to keep tabs on those type of champions.
Absolutely. If Nasus is free to farm, it will really depend on what's going on with all of the ganks. If they can set up something where Shen comes in and Lee Sin comes in bottom, they have some 3 or 4 man ganks. If they can control bot lane and kind of shut them down, that might offset the fact that Shen will be leaving top lane pretty frequently to either save a carry or use the teleport to come in for a gank or a dragon play.
Yeah, also just to see, we saw Red Team last time with a lot of great dragon control. They actually snuck the first dragon of the game before a kill went down. So I'm hoping that the blue team, they make some adjustments to that, get an earlier ward down there, or get some sort of, or keep keep it an open eye. So next time or bottom lane goes missing, they're like, hey, we've seen this before. Maybe they're gonna go for a dragon, and they'll be all over it this time instead of giving up a free dragon. Because really, I think Red Team was behind in the early game, but those dragons really kept them in it, kept them even slightly ahead at times. So game is underway. Again, if you are joining us, this is the Amazon Finals for the in-house tournament. Team Nyx, the blue team. Team Fax, the red team. Fax coming up from the losers bracket, winning game 1 of the finals. So either team now that wins this wins the finals. And red doing a little poke around their red. They definitely want to secure it. Looks like blue's just going to do the same. Secure their own red. We're going to have no invades here.
Definitely feeling the pressure of the fact that this is the very last game that they have to play. There's no chance for anyone if this one is lost. So definitely playing it safe. Everyone covering both reds, positioning themselves so that they can catch people if they try to invade.
And it looks like Shen actually DC at the beginning, so that might be why they're not invading, because they were actually down Shen, so they felt they didn't want to go in 4v5. Minions have spawned, and we see Citadel and Elwood doing very, very smartly. They're actually blue-pilling back to their base and walking down lane because they don't want to cross their own jungle in case a invade did go down. And both these junglers are going to do standard starts, go for their red buffs. We might see a really quick gank from Mundo top, possibly. But it's really going to be up to the junglers and what they decide to do. Beyond Wither, Nasus really doesn't have a good way to follow up a gank quite yet, very early. So it'll be interesting to see.
Mundo and Lee Sin both have the fairly quick clear on the jungle. Mundo's probably going to come around for a really early level 2 gank.
Yep, and here it is. Walker, I don't know if he's going to quite be able to get it. We're going to have to see here. Actually, Shen's still level 1, so this could actually work out. If he gets his dash actually before, he could be able to get out of this. And it looks like there are the slows going down. Red buff is applied, exhaust onto him, and this is going to be first blood. And really great job right there. Shen not expecting that and getting picked up there.
Yeah, that Nasus was able to walk completely around him before Shen even realized what was going on, so definitely going to keep Shen on his toes.
And meanwhile, a gank down bottom, very aggressive. Ezreal taking a lot of damage in there. And Lee Sin still up in this brush, though. He's going to be all over the Sona. Sona putting out a lot of burst damage on him, though. That combo, so scary. So a lot of aggression on the map so far. So Xera's putting in some good poke pressure onto Gragas. Gragas already popping some health potions.
Definitely a trade-off if you're AP mid in the very early game, whether you want to blow your mana to do some poke to pick up the kill or to get the CS, or if you want to kind of maintain, lay back a little bit like Gragas is, and just pick up the last hits whenever you can.
Yeah, it's definitely a very patient play from him right now. And, in the process, he's actually just giving up a little bit of CS here. Just trying to play it safe so he can get to a stronger state of his own game. And Graves actually solo pushing down here. This is actually very interesting. I think if Ezreal and Blitzcrank would have realized that earlier, that's a typical, if you can recognize that as a bottom lane player, that the support is gone and go full aggressive on the 80 bottom, a lot of times you can pick up kills or push them out of lane and put a lot of scary damage on them. So if Ezreal and Blitzcrank caught that up a little bit earlier, they could have pushed Graves out there.
I am going to point out that Graves is at 27 CS already. We're only 4.5 minutes into the game. Ezreal is going to need to pick up the pace a little bit if he wants to keep in step with Graves.
Yeah, I think they went for that really early aggression and kind of gave up some CS in the process of that. But one thing we've definitely seen from this Graves player is, one, he's very comfortable with Graves, and two, he's very good at actually last hitting, because there was all that Sivir pressure last game, but even with that, Graves still was able to be ahead in CS through that game. So just settling in here, junglers actually heading to their blue buffs now at this point. Pretty much mirror images of each other as they've been running around this map.
We've got Mundo in a pretty good position to at least put in some serious damage and mess up Ezreal's last hitting.
Yeah, this is actually very good. They don't have any ward to spot this out. Ezreal's going to Arcane Shift to back off out of this. Going to put a little bit of damage onto Mundo. Great smoke screen right there. Put some damage on there. Oh, the grab just barely missing. That would have been huge if it landed on anybody, but Red Team knew it was up. They moved far enough away. And Graves, pretty comfortable in his farming ability right here. And Mundo's still hiding in this bush. I think they suspect he might be gone. But here he's going to come out again. Try to land a cleaver. It's going to miss. But Graves, very comfortable farming position for him right now in this game. And since he's already ahead, that's a lot of trouble for this Ezreal.
Yeah, and Mundo is definitely... there's the grab from Blitzcrank. Oh, they're going to back off. Mundo definitely making Ezreal waste all that mana. There was no follow-up there, so Blitzcrank, even though he landed the hook and he managed to get some damage in on Mundo, no kill because Ezreal's out of mana.
Yeah, one thing I'm kind of noticing from all these players is kind of mana management. A lot of times it seems like they are kind of low, especially when that grab came down on Mundo like you were talking about. Ezreal didn't have a lot of mana to follow it up, so even though he was able to put on some damage, he was never really going to kill him. In middle, we saw that kind of the same thing. Lee Sin came out onto Xerath, put on some pressure, but Gragas didn't have a lot of mana to actually do anything about it and follow it up as strongly as he would have liked to.
Definitely Graves pulling out some really, really good last hitting, really good ability to follow up with the return harass and maintaining his mana.
Blitzgrab will miss again, and I'm looking at Mundo. Mundo's level 4. He's creeping up on level 5. He's just going to ding level 5. Lee Sin still, he's almost actually he's a lot farther along than I thought he was. Right now he should ding 5 very shortly after he actually clears this wave, I believe. And there he goes. But he wants to be careful that he doesn't fall too far behind because he's rotating around to a lot of these ganks. But Red's done a good job of having wards in place when he's come to show up. And they've been able to not actually fall or give up any kills to his pressure coming around to the lanes. And
Interesting choice that Ezreal and Blitzcrank have decided to maintain the heavy pressure despite the fact that Ezreal is still out of mana and that Blitz is rapidly losing it as well. It's going to open them up for opportunities later for Mundo to wrap back around them again like earlier, except this time they'll be able to follow it up for a kill.
And it looks like there was a kill in mid. I'm actually going to rewind a little bit here to see what did happen. It looks like there was a nice little dive in there and explosive casket, and Gragas just barely picking out that kill onto Xerath. And I will hop back to live. So I can
definitely excited to see what Gragas brings to the table once he actually gets some items under his belt.
Yeah, the funny thing about Xerath is like he has this range, but against Gragas, in order to get his real long range ready, that spell penetration, if he wants to use Locust of Power, he makes himself immobile, which sets him up for Gragas to actually come in there and use a lot of his skill shots.
Lee Sin creeping up here on Nasus.
Oh, they get the taunt underneath turret, but I don't think they have enough damage between the two of them to actually take down this Nasus. This Nasus going Doran shield, so he's pretty tanky, has some armor, has some health regen, and Nasus has actually been the one pressuring top most of the time, finally getting pressed in here by Shen. And Lee Sin rotating back to middle. This Lee Sin just non-stop ganks. That's all he's been doing. Sonic Wave's going to land. He's going to get the slow off. Looks like Xerath's going to turn around and try to do some burst damage, but Xerath might actually give up his life. And the process, explosive cast out. Will they be able to pick this up? It looks like Gragas going to give up his body to the turret too. So there will be a trade there. They just wanted, he desperately wanted that kill. He wasn't going to leave without a kill. And Shen actually coming in on Lee Sin to turn around on this Mundo, but they're not going to get a kill there. And like we were talking about earlier, like unless you're sure it's going to really help out a lane, then you want to go top. And it looks like that Graves Sona lane again doing work against this Ezreal. I'm actually really worried for the blue team at this point with Citadel and Elwood doing their thing again and getting an early advantage.
Yeah, Citadel doing an amazing job last hitting. We're approaching 10 minutes and he has 83 under his belt, so he's going to be able to go back and purchase some pretty significant damage items. Nasus made an interesting decision to go back when he did, knowing that Shen willingly ulted away from the wave, could have pushed it, could have gotten those last hits in, but decided to go back anyway.
Yeah, it looks like definitely a different build kind of coming out from here. It looks like he has his Ninja Tabby. It looks like he might actually try to go for an Aegis possibly here or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is another option for Nasus instead of last time where we saw him just, straight up rush Triforce. Pretty much.
Yeah, it might also be in his best interest to build into a Heart of Gold so that he can pick up on the lack of creep score that he has against Shen.
That blitz grab bottom just barely missing when you expect the move and it doesn't happen and everybody sees. Gragas doing a great job landing his skill shots in these trades here. Wormhole looking very, very strong in this mid lane. I actually really like this mid lane for blue. It's going to be possibly the equalizing factor to deal with this bottom lane if Graves can get to continue to snowball. I might think that one of the plays for the blue team might be able to just bait out Citadel possibly into something, have Shen all up and really just go full all in and try to pick up a kill bottom and help out that bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely you can tell that there's a difference between Gragas and Xerath already. Gragas has his Catalyst, he has roughly 400 more health than Xerath does, has the Blasting Wand, so he's got the punch from his barrels. It's going to be interesting to see how Xerath deals with this extremely strong Gragas early in the game.
Lee Sin coming top yet again to put a little pressure on Nasus, but Nasus doesn't really care. He's too tanky, and Lee Sin, in running around so much, he doesn't quite have the damage to follow it up between him and Shen to actually threaten this Nasus.
Oh, Gragas is overextended. Let's see if Xerath and Mundo... Nope, they don't want to go in.
And instead they want to go for Dragon, so here we see it again. No vision. No wards going down there for blue team. Dragon's just throwing in a barrel for fun. Xerath actually using his ult to actually hurt this Dragon. It would have been actually pretty interesting to see if Gragas came in with his ult and tried to burst it down. And Nasus having Shen on the run. Shen's going to barely escape out of that with some health. And Gragas actually all over Xerath in the rotation from Dragon. He wants that blue buff. That would be huge. Explosive cast coming in there, pushing Xerath back into the enemy team. Picks it up with that barrel. And great play by Wormhole. Wormhole really dominating the middle of the map right now. And that's going to be the saving grace for the blue team. Because right now, Ezreal is sitting at 57 CS, and Graves is at 107. That's a 50 CS differential, plus the fact that Graves already has a kill under his belt.
Ez and Blitzcrank simultaneous to that, Gragas moving in on Xerath in his own territory. Mundo wrapped around from Tribush, but was unsuccessful in being able to push them off the turret, had to go back, was low health. They're really holding down the fort on that turret. It's taken hardly any damage so far, even though Graves has been farming like a champ.
Yeah, and admirable for them. They're actually playing pretty. To be honest, I've been in a lot of these lanes where you do get behind as an AD. I mean, obviously we can see that Graves has a BF sword and Ezreal has a couple Doran's Blade. It's a huge discrepancy in damage potential, especially with a Sona backing you up as well, giving you that extra AD from her buff as well. So the fact that they are able to hold this down as well as they're doing right now and not being completely pushed out of lane is actually pretty admirable for this team. And Gragas now running a little bit, but Gragas has so much mobility, it's really hard for Mundo to actually hold him down unless Xerath initiates with some sort of stun. But I don't think Xerath has enough damage. Like you were saying earlier, He finally just got a blasting wand, but before that, it was basically cooldown boots and a chalice, which is not quite the same as Gragas, who looks like he will be shortly heading for a Rod of Ages to follow up when he does decide to go back eventually.
Yeah, he's definitely getting cheeky, definitely pushing the lane, and definitely want to see him go out, branch up towards top or branch out towards bottom and pick up some kills.
Yeah, I think bottom would definitely be, if he can get in there. I mean, there's some great warding going down by Elwood, but if they could actually, if he could actually use that rotation, that mobility that Gragas does have, like we talked about earlier, because I mean, he could even come in from behind. He can hop over. He can actually hop over the blue buff and do some shenanigans, and try to get on this lane. He can get creative with it. But it looks like Graves might be heading up towards the middle. I think they're really tired of this Gragas.
Yeah, definitely feeling the pressure. Definitely Gragas is just kind of having his way with this lane, really.
Yeah, I don't think they would have. Yeah, they kind of peek up there. They're like, oh, wait, no, he's too mobile. He has explosive cast. There's no way we're going to be able to get this unless they commit for us. That could be handy.
Yeah, everyone's missing. There's hardly any vision going on Red's side. Some amazing blue ward placement up in top jungle.
Wow, yeah, that's some pretty aggressive blue warding right there. Typically don't see wards that deep in the enemy's jungle quite at the stage of the game, but still could be still really good. Like, it's going to give him a lot of information on where Mundo is. And bottom lane, was able to farm up a little bit in the meantime, while Graves and Sona did their little field trip to mid lane.
Yeah, Israel has the Sheen, which is going to help him out a bit. Shen, with those wards, is able to put immense pressure on Nasus, trying to keep him from farming, have all of those aggressive wards, able to see when Mundo's going to come out, so Mundo's going to be pretty useless until those wards expire.
Yeah, and I like this. I like the ward coverage from the blue team. I think they were a little bit lacking the first game, honestly, overall as far as their wards went, but definitely this game they've definitely picked it up. And huge burst going actually onto Oridan. Lee Sin trying to come in the back, put some pressure on there. Graves actually really, really low. He's going to pull off the exhaust. Sona in a little bit of trouble. She's going to flash out of this, but I think Graves is going to fall. And that is actually a really good pickup for Nyashi. That grab was very, very hopeful. A little bit of tunnel vision there, I'm sure. And Shen's actually going to fall underneath his own turret, but will the turret be able to pick up Nasus? No, one more shot, and he would have fell, but that ult's going to give him that little bit of extra health. Let him carry on through that, and great play by Nasus to be able to pick up a kill. And there is another sweet pickup by Wormhole in mid, and really he is just dominating the mid lane. I want to see him a little bit more mobile on the map and get into some team fights, because Gragas' damage is going to get really insane. I mean, he's stacking a lot of gold. He's 410, 100 CS. He has 1,500 gold. Looks like he's going to finish up Rod of Ages, his boots too, and drumroll. I guess he has 700 gold left, so maybe he'll hold on to grab some wards and such in the meantime.
Yeah, it's really nice to see this back and forth. We've got Gragas, who's dominating mid. We've got Graves, who's kind of bullying Ezreal out of the lane, maintaining the CS advantage. And we've got Nasus, who is slowly but surely pushing Shen out of the lane, getting the kill every single time under the turret, has completed his Aegis, and is just looking to bully him out so he can continue farming his Q.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, looks like Sona's heading down towards the Dragon right now, going to ward it up. Let's see what Red's play is for Dragon, because I think it's a lot more dangerous play this time around with that Fed Gragas. It'll be a lot more interesting of a fight over it if Blue is in position, because that is the key. A lot of times we've seen Blue not in position for the Dragon fight, so the Dragon's just easily gone to the Red team. But hopefully they can actually turn around and make some plays. Ezreal and Blitz actually did something really smart just a second ago. They actually realized that Sona was not with the Graves, so they actually tried to go aggressive. Unfortunately, Blitz did miss his grab. And Muda now coming in from behind. They actually do have a ward on that tribe, so they know if it is warded or not. It is not warded. They actually put Blitz not getting the memo. Actually goes aggressive on the Graves, and it's not going to work out.
Yeah, typically placing a ward on that ramp just off of the south side of mid lane would be very telling to see if Mundo's going to wrap around like he just did.
Yeah, and actually, Red might have just secured themselves a dragon with that play. They were able to take out the enemy AD. There's 2 in top lane, so they aren't scared at all. And Nasus is still taking them on. He's not even scared of dying at this point. And the only thing we can see is explosive cast steal. Will we see it? Nope. Gragas just going to back off out of this. Gonna play it safe.
That was a prime example of how you can play a dragon off of a gank easily. As long as you pick up at least 1 kill, it's going to intimidate the other team, it's going to split them up, and it's going to give you guys the room that you need in order to pick up dragon.
Yeah, really, really solid fundamental play. And this Fax team, they weren't the top team coming in this. They did lose a game along the way, but they've been very, very solid in their teamwork, and it's definitely showed. It's one of the deciding factors because individual skill, different lanes are winning. It's kind of even on that front, but as far as just objective goes and team positioning and coordinating their ganks, they're a lot stronger from what we've seen than the enemy blue team. So take a look at the Siphon Strike. Watch Siphon Strike with 174 bonus physical damage right now.
Nasa's definitely seeing a much faster level, a much faster CS, much faster farming of his Q than the previous game.
Which means it's going to be a lot scarier, a lot quicker, especially when he starts to build up another damage arm. And here's that Gragas rotation, but no one's there to follow it up. Unfortunately, will it be able to pick up Graves? And no, he's not going to be able to do it. I was actually really excited there for a second because he finally actually did get the angle, got the pressure, he got them out of position, was able to make a play, but no one else on his team was really in position to follow up.
Gragas, of course, taking the obviously short but obviously warded route through river to bottom lane.
Oh, and actually a dive into the bottom actually missed that. Actually, I'm going to go back and go back and take a peek at what exactly did happen here. So it looks like Lee Sin coming up through brush here, and actually great grab by Blitz actually is the main thing that led that off, and they were actually able to pick up this Sona, and it was a great actually the Sonic Wave, the resonating strike actually fell up just to barely take down Sona underneath turret.
Blitz just landed another one of his grabs, following it up. There's a 3v2 on bottom lane right now. Graves trying to get away, but Ezreal has no mana. Graves has no mana.
Oh, Shen. Looks like Shen's coming in if I'm caught up with you. And Mundo looking very, very low here. He's actually running underneath his turret, trying to escape out of this, but he's going to get 4-man dove. And it looks like Blue actually able to pick off some kills. So Blue actually with some great turnaround right here while mid-turret falls. Blue looking very, very strong here.
That is exactly what I wanted to see from them. They have such a strong mobility team that they can easily catch up to anybody that's trying to run away from them, even if they have Mundo who's slowing them with his cleavers. Very, very good pickup play with that 4-man gank in bottom lane.
Yeah, the interesting thing to see is, will they, now that Gragas has killed mid, will we see more of him on the map? We already saw him a little bit sneak peek of what he would do. But with that mid turret down, he actually has a lot more liberty to push up that lane and go start wreaking havoc on the other lanes.
Yeah, red team is still picking up the dragons, still has that on lockdown, still warding it regularly, and they still have the gold advantage, but blue is going to catch up if they keep making those plays like they did in bottom lane, and if Gragas keeps basically farming off of Xerath mid.
Yeah, Gragas' explosive cask already at 500 damage potential. So that is a good chunk of a lot of these enemy teammates. If you look at Xerath, for example, that's actually over a third of his health in one ability. So Gragas getting pretty strong here.
And again, we have Mundo entering blue team's jungle through the same ramp that he came in through last time.
Trying to be sneaky. Around this back turret, and he's gonna try to steal some farm from this Lee Sin. Lee Sin doesn't want to have it, except for he's gonna actually be in a little bit of trouble here because it is 3v2, and they're actually gonna pull out this Mundo, but Mundo does not care. he has a lot of sustain in there, but Shen is actually rotated down. He actually uses his teleport to come in here. They try to get a taunt off, and Gragas is actually rotated down as well. Great explosive cast onto Graves. Graves gets ignited as well, and they're going to be able to pick off a kill, and like you said, that mobility, it's coming into play now. Lisa able to pick off Sona as well, and there's 2 pickups. Really great response from the blue team.
Yeah, you just can't get away from them. They can split up and pair off like they did. One chase one person, one chase the other, and they picked up both kills. So that was another really good 4-man play with that mobility.
Yeah, I fully expect Ezreal to actually start pushing up this bottom turret. He can probably take this bottom turret before there is any real response from the red team. Nasus again, though. I mean, it's gonna be a pirate in the blue team's pudding. When he finally comes into these team fights and he's so tanky, especially if he's able to finish off that Triforce before it happens. But he's just basically free farming up in top lane while the rest is going on. And it looks like he is finally going to drop the top turret as well. If we look at gold, still just barely a 1K differential between these two teams. This is a very close game so far as we go along.
They're definitely starting to play into their strengths. The 4-man ganks are shoving Shen into the fray, making him teleport, making him blow his ult, so Nasus has been able to free farm for the last 10 minutes easy, has 134 CS. Sheen, gonna keep building items, gonna keep getting tanky. Really excited to see how the team fights come together once we get to that point.
Yeah, Xerath and his little catch-up ability here, looks like he's just working on the last part of a Rabadon. He's 700 gold in, so he's about 400 gold away, or 450 or so gold away from finishing that off. And then he'll actually have some AP to back up and do a little bit more damage in team fights. But this Gragas, still a lot more effective for the team fight scenario. But however, on the other side, Citadel still the much more farmed AD carry, so he's going to have a lot better sustained DPS for his team in team fights, should he be able to stay safe. And not get
yet
off.
Again, we see red team has full advantage over Dragon. Blue team was split up. Gragas came in from the wrong side. It looks like they might try to hop over the wall, which would be a really smart play considering all the mobility that we've got going on with these 4 right here.
Yeah, I mean, their entire team could pretty much hop over the wall, or if Blitz can land a really good grab. Ooh. Xerath, if that was timed correctly, Xerath has to pause for that Arcana Pulse, and Mundo just going to face check this. There's no grab that is up. They don't want to engage on him either because he is the tanky character. That would not be the best engage for them. It looks like Nasus realizing that the issue's about to hit the fan. He's gonna rotate down here, put a little pressure on mid turret, and be available in case there is a dragon fight or a fight does happen down here. Meanwhile, Shen, he's like, hey, no big deal. I have my stand united. I can push this lane all I want and support my team. So that is what he's going to decide to do. And Nasus, very smart play, picking up a turret in mid lane, and Dragon might get started by Pip. Oh, there's a 2-man jump onto Nasus here. The rest of the red team's coming to his aid, though. And this, again, focusing a tank and blowing your cooldowns on the tank isn't necessarily the best idea. There's that Xerath long-range effectiveness from teamfight. And there's the Essence coming in, picking up the kill. Mundo getting very low now. Lee Sin trying to back off this. Ult from Graves misses. He's trying to get away from the Shen. Shen doing a great job zoning out Graves right now. Sona just sticking in the fight. Both teams kind of pressing back and forth. It looks like Blue might want a disengage right here from this red team, which is has a pretty good strong core left. And Blitz might get stunned. No, he's going to be able to get out of this. And Lee Sin very low, though. Going to safeguard to his teammates to help him out. And Gragas getting too aggressive, flashes back out after the grab from Blitz onto Mundo, almost gets taunted underneath turret. They're all so low, blue team. Blue team playing with the emotions of everyone that's watching right now. Look at this team.
Mundo playing the Honey Badger, keeps turret diving, doesn't even care whether he's taking the turret hits because he can just regenerate that health again. Really amazed that Gragas decided to go in on Nasus and blow his ult so early, seeing as how all of red team was standing in their ward at Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, really, obviously, he wants to try to get the squishier targets like the Xerath, like the Graves if he can, and initiating onto whenever you initiate on a tank, that's exactly what you want out of your tank. You want your tank to take all the initial damage burst and the cooldowns, and let your characters the rest of your team come in and put their cooldowns on a more high priority target. So definitely kind of a misengage for the blue team. They actually ended up getting really low on their disengage, and I ended up losing a turret for it. But here we
Still
go.
gonna go in for the dragon.
These guys.
That cheeky Gragas.
We just want one dragon, guys. We just want one, and they might get it. Will they be able to get it? Graves all coming in trying to take it, but blue team will take the dragon. And I think that might be their first dragon of the series, actually. I'm pretty sure it is.
Definitely didn't get a dragon last game, so I bet they're pretty excited about that. That does put them back even, almost dead even in gold now, even though blue team has almost twice the kills that red team does.
Yes, this has been a pretty crazy game, and actually one thing to note is, Ezreal, he's kind of starting to catch up to this Graves. I mean, Graves actually has finished his Phantom Dancer IE, which means he's very, very strong in comparative to Easy, but Easy does have the Infinity Edge, he does have a Sheen, so he can still hit pretty hard and be somewhat effective in team fights. Be interested to see how it pays off here.
We'll see if we can get a proper team fight out of these guys. Shen does have the ability to come in whenever he needs to, does have his teleport up.
Yeah, and Stand United just a couple more seconds for that cooldown to finish as well. And, it's definitely a scenario, too, where blue team, they're taking the advantage of having a Shen on their team. And, they're split pushing with him because he can come in at a moment's notice, support his team. Whereas, if you have your Graves off in the side lane, Graves doesn't have any stuns to stop Stand United or a teleport. So if they get engaged on, Shen's going to be the extra member there, and Graves going to have to, hoof it over there to try to be part of the team fight. And without Graves in the team fight, red team would be definitely on the back foot and probably not likely favored to win.
Yeah, of course, Nasus goes back, picks up the Triforce, which was going to make him a force to be reckoned with as soon as we get into the team fight phase.
Yeah, that's the scary point. This is the point where you don't want to face a Nasus. 30 minutes of the game is not bad for his build. 162 CS. He's actually been able to creep a little bit up on Shen, but Shen keep doing a good job keeping up his CS as well. Shen's become a little bit unkillable state as we get farther into this game, but the problem with Shen, though, is that he's not going to be able to do as much damage as Nasus is with that AoE percentage draining ult and that siphoning strike. It's going to be able to chunk a lot harder than Shen will, so definitely interested to see how this Nasus, who's almost level 18, is going to play in these team fights. Poor Xerath, actually only level 14 for his team. He's been definitely abused by Wormhole.
Yeah, definitely picked up a champion whose ult requires
this could be huge. Actually, they might catch out Graves near Baron, and it looks like they will. Caught him sleeping a little bit, and they want themselves a Mundo and a Nasus. Well, Nasus actually putting a lot of pressure onto Ezreal, coming back in this team fight, focusing onto this blitz. Xerath trying to put some damage from long range, but now they have found him. He is very, very squishy. Two squishy members on their team. 4v1 onto Nasus. Nasus definitely will fall. Gragas going to give up the chase, and it looks like they might decide, this is the critical moment. Do they decide to take Baron? Do they decide to take Turrets? It looks like they are going to take Baron, and really, that fatal error of Citadel, he's looked great all these games, kind of an MVP for his team, but getting caught out there, it's going to be a critical moment that, if Red really starts to fall behind and Blue's able to snowball this potential right here, could be a moment that he really, really wants back.
Definitely going to take the gold advantage off of Baron and off of the kills. They definitely made the right choice in taking Baron instead of pushing, because their outer lane, top and bottom, are pushing themselves. Shen's going to maintain the pressure, of course. He has the ability to get down there with his teleport.
Yeah, and Blue, with this Baron, they're going to be a lot more confident at pressing in and starting to press turrets as we go in here. Xerath's going to have to do a really good job of actually clearing these minion waves as best he can with that range, with that Arcana Pulse, but he's not quite strong enough to do it. And this means that Blue's going to be able to play that poke game very, very well, and with a split-pushing Shen, and do it very reliably. And once the turrets start to fall, if they're able to put some pressure on some base turrets, it's just going to get them even farther ahead.
The ability for blue team to jump on the Graves that got out of position earlier is telling about what's going to happen later on. As soon as somebody is out of position, all it takes is the blink of an eye and you're going to have 4 people on top of you.
So Shen bot lane just straight up commits with a team heal and just takes down the turret, sacrifices his Baron buff. Blue team actually had a really good potential, because they saw the rest of red team bottom to really go full bore on the bottom turret. But Nasus actually zoned them out, is trying to chase down this Ezreal right now. Ezreal Actually scared for his life. He's actually going to get withered here. He has no mana. Now Ezreal's going to be picked up. They've actually now lost another Baron buff. This is actually good play from Red coming back in here. And they could possibly, if they play this right, they could actually pressure this base turret because it's only 5v2.
Lee Sin making the right choice by continuing to push top lane. Look at how far bot and top are pushed now. Red's really going to have to make it worth it, take this turret, maybe take the inhibitor.
Yeah, Gragas should really just be using an explosive casket, trying to protect this turret as much as he can. Now he's going to have to use it to probably disengage and save himself. Looks like here. Oh, I don't know if that was the right target. Nash is typing in, so he is going to get. Now they're going to give up an inhibitor. And Lee Sin, though, actually is going to get this top turret, which is good for them, but I don't know if he's going to actually be able to get the inhibitor. If he's able to get the inhibitor, then it was actually a great play for his team, and they're actually going to come out even in this trade. If he's not able to get this inhibitor and Red is able to respond, it's actually going to be a bad turn of fate. Red has to actually get them more bang for their buck because they're going to have a constantly pushing mid lane, and top's going to be open. It looks like he will get this inhib, though. So great heads-up play by Neon Sheep, and will he be able to escape out? So is the question. Does he have a ward in his bank to jump to? No, they're not even going to catch him. But that would have been a great thing. You catch Lee Sin with the Baron buff and an Oracle top lane. And Blue,
absolutely a good choice by Shen, Blitzcrank, and Gragas to bulldoze up mid, pushing them back. They didn't have time to blue pill. Nobody on red team could blue pill to push Lee Sin off of that inhibitor, so definitely a good choice on their part.
Yeah, and we have a serious game between us. I mean, it's 6K gold differential, so Blue does have a lead. But Red, again, that strong team play, it keeps coming through. They're making some good decisions here. Able to pick up an inhibitor in the aftermath and, get a really good thing. They were against a Baroned up team that was ahead of them by 4 or 5K gold, and they were able to still go in there and get an inhib. So, smart play by them. Blue able to keep snowballing their advantage here, picking up another dragon as well. Lee Sin with that Oracles has a great advantage of knowing that there is no wards there, and they're catching the right part of the team. They want to get Graves starting to rotate around. He wants to get in this fight. Ezreal throwing in his Essence Flux right there. Will they be able to finish this off? And now they're trying to run it down, and will they be able to get this Nasus? Nasus so close that grab will miss, but the barrel does not, and neither does Ezreal's shots right there. Ezreal looking very, very strong.
Really, really enjoying this Triforce Infinity Edge combo on Ezreal. It makes all of his spells strong. It makes his auto attack strong. Great hook by Blitzcrank, but Mundo again, too tanky. Just gonna walk it off.
Yep, pop that ult. Get all his health back. But, I kind of looking at this mid Nexus turret, though, and it's actually getting pressed in by super creeps. They actually might lose a Nexus turret if no one on blue is paying attention. But, Shen. Trusty old Shen's going to come in and try to defend it, and the minion wave's going to pop up just in time to protect it. But,
got a good push going on in top lane as well, so there's a lot of back and forth with the minion waves, and that's going to dictate a lot of where they're going to be able to push, if blue can actually maintain their pressure bot, or if they want to try to rotate top and push that in on the turret.
It was an interesting true shot barrage there. I know he wanted to clear out minions, but there was no minions there to clear. But they're actually doing a lot of poking on this bottom, so it's exactly what they want. Like you said, that top push requires attention. A good kick, dragon kick, actually onto Mundo to get him out of this fight. It looks like Lee Sin's going to sacrifice himself in this team fight, and we have a full team fight underway. Mundo's going to fall. Shen is rotated up in here. Nasus is trying to chase down the enemy team. He is so tanky, does so much damage. Blue needs to be careful. They don't want to get aced here, and it looks like it will happen. Double kill, and again, Red coming back with the plays. They're coming back with the plays. They will not go away. Blue, you give as much advantage as you want, and they're still making plays.
It's all that amazing team support, lots of team communication. You can tell that everybody on their team has played together for a significant period of time and knows each other well enough to be able to make that choice. Okay, all of us press forward, all of us dive after them, chase everybody down, and now they're going to stand around and wait for Baron, which they have the time to do because they have the ace and nobody on blue team is back up yet.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if, they maybe never saw Baron, so they weren't sure if it was down, so just wanted to reset it.
Yeah, that's probably the case. It's at least got another 2 minutes or so. They're going to take this advantage, take another turret, and Mundo is going to clean up top so that those super minions don't push in.
Good, smart team coordination right there. And again, red mid lane pushing in on the blue team. They're going to clear this really quickly. I'd still, definitely put some effort into getting another Oracles. Either Lee Sin or someone on the blue team picking up. Red team could pick up one as well. And really getting war control over this next Baron. It's going to be very, very critical. Whichever team gets this next Baron might even win the game or snowball it hard enough to win the game. So both teams should be really focused now on getting a lot more wards out there. Blue team actually has no wards so far on the map. For all they know, if the Baron icon popped up, red could be sitting there waiting and trying to make it happen. And there it is.
We see Mundo pick up another Giant's Belt, looking to be just the unstoppable juggernaut that we know that he can be now that we're pushing 40 minutes into this game. So this next Baron fight is definitely going to be a decisive clear. If red team can score another ace, they definitely have enough power behind them with Baron buff to push in and end the game.
Yeah, without an Oracle here or a pink ward, they don't know, they must assume that red has vision of them, but they don't, they have the ability to remove that vision, which is really critical when you're playing this kind of game. The problem for the blue team, I feel at this point, is that they don't really want a team fight. I don't think that, even with their gold advantage that they've had for this game, they can't, if they have to sit in the pocket and they're not able to take out Graves, and they just have to deal with Mundo and Nasus in their face, they're not going to be able to deal very well with it. They almost want to, if they can, blitz grab someone critical, pick off a kill that way and make something happen. Blue is actually making a play now that they see that red is up there, so red's going to run as fast as they can. The question is, can blue actually take this down in time? This could be disastrous if red's able to get there in time or possibly steal this. And this is going to be really, really critical and close. Mundo coming in here, and no, they're not going to get off the steal. Graves actually jumping in the back. Oh, if they're able to pick him off, that could be huge. He actually did use his quick draw to get in there. They are going to be able to pick off Graves, and now Baron buff up blue team, going to be able to chase down the rest of this team. They don't have to be scared. There's not a lot of damage there. Nasus actually away from this team fight, and that is so, so critical. And I almost feel sad for the red team because they played this so well throughout, but blue just making the right call, realizing that red was out of position, and now it's really paid off for them, and they should be able to start closing out some more inhibs. They already got Lee Sin on that top inhib to take it down, tear down some more of these base turrets, and I think it could be game for Nyx.
It's almost impossible for Xerath to stay in this team fight. He keeps getting targeted by barrels from Gragas. Baron buff is making him do a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, if we look at Gragas, his casket's almost 1,000 damage straight up if he throws his explosive casket.
Blue is pulling no punches, making sure that red team has as difficult of a time as they humanly possibly can by taking down every single building.
Hey, you might as well at this point. It's the safest option. They already have a Nexus turret down as well. It's going to be very hard for red to fight them with a bunch of super minions pushing them in and defend their turrets, but all red is up. Anything is possible. They could make a play right here. Anything could happen. Looks like Nasus trying to lead this off, getting pressured right now very, very hard. And really blue, if they could actually have a really extended team fight and stall out, they'll actually be really good. And the Shurelya's Reveille's popped. It looks like red actually wants to fight this or make something happen. That Baron buff's actually giving blue a lot of sustain, though, in this team fight. No, it's like the very slow damage actually coming out here. They're finally able to pick up Nasus. Red back up, I just don't think they have enough. I think that Baron buff is really the deciding factor in this team fight right now, and Graves getting zoned out, and now it's 5v2. Surely there's no way the red team's going to be able to stop this, and this game has been so close and such a good game. Red fighting back when they were behind, but it's not going to be enough. Graves finally coming in here, trying to put down some kills, gets exhausted. It's going to get...
Wow.
Oh my god, I thought he was going to go for Penna almost. But luckily for blue team, Hannibal was on duty, keeping focused, and congratulations to Team Nyx winning the Amazon internal tournament, taking it back in Game 2, only dropping one game in the entire tournament, so congrats to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. Very well played. Very amazingly useful utility, mobility, team comp. Very impressed with you guys' picks and your guys' teamwork.
Yep. So thanks for inviting us along here to cast, and thank you, Snicker Snacks, for joining me casting here yet again for some fun times. And everybody that's watching this, we will be running Judgment. If you don't know what Judgment is, feel free to hop on our website, raiseyourweapon.com. You can click the Judgment tab. It'll have our rules and all stuff. But if you want to see it for yourself, it's an 8-team tournament that's picked by captains, draft style, much like fantasy. You would pick a fantasy football team, but instead they're League of Legends players. We form up 8 teams. They play for Riot Prize support plus other prizes, and it's a really fun time. Tournament takes about 3 hours, but show up 6 p.m. PST tomorrow, and there should be a lot of people in chat. We actually give away prizes to the stream viewers. We give away RP cards and other cool stuff like that, so definitely worth checking out. So come back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. PST. Better yet, if you click the follow button up at the top left, you'll get an email whenever we do go live to make sure you don't miss it. So thanks for watching this reviewing, and thank you, Snicker Snacks, for helping me cast.